And good evening, everybody. Hope that people will be able to join me here tonight. I'm looking forward to doing some live work here. Mostly, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be continuing the outlining process for the five-part book series that I'm going to be working on. And it's really going to be a big part of what I want to do in 2021. I've never really written a book series before. So planning out, outlining, and really just totally conceiving how this five-part book series is going to look has been an interesting challenge for sure. So that's one of the things that I've been working on for the last couple of months, in addition to the project that I did for NaNoWriMo, which I'm taking a break from, but I will eventually come back to that and begin the editing process for that. I also have another finished book that I am currently shopping around, trying to pitch to a literary agent. It's a project that I worked on for quite a while, and I'm really excited about it. I think it's a good story that I think really fits some of what's been going on in the country and probably to some extent around the world. So I'm hoping to be able to find a taker for that at some point as well in the year 2021. So I'll definitely be shopping that around as well. So it's just never ending. The number of projects that I'm working on at any given time is, the good thing about it is that it's never draining. It's always exciting. It's always fulfilling. So I'm going to continue to work on those projects going into 2021. But back to the five-part series that I'm working on. Yesterday, I made really good progress with the outline, and I'm feeling a lot better about the outline. There's a few little world building things that I want to continue to finalize as I go through the next few days. And then I really want to hit the ground running. So part of the outline is I took the broader kind of unpolished outline and I just put it into the 3-act format. And I did that largely yesterday. And then I've been polishing it up a little bit today to work on that. So that's another one of the things that I'll be working on tonight as we close out the weekend. I'm not sure how many of you are going to work tomorrow after the Christmas holiday and getting back into the swing of things. But then again, I don't know what is normal these days. I don't know. In COVID, not much seems to be normal. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm fortunate that I have next week off, though I never really have time off because work just continues. So I do actually have some work to do Monday, especially, but hopefully I'll be able to knock that out early and then be able to go back into vacation mode. So definitely looking forward to sleeping in a little bit next week and then just trying to get as relaxed as possible, looking ahead to beginning my work schedule once 2021 arrives. And like probably the rest of the people that don't start work this week, those of us who get going a week from Monday, our time is coming up and probably faster than what we actually want. So I hope everybody else is getting some relaxation in and getting ready to go back to work and to do the things that you normally do. So tonight, I should say, I'm going to be doing some 15-minute sessions. Those of you who are working on projects, you're certainly welcome to join with me in working during these 15-minute sessions. I also will leave the chat open so you can chat if you want. You want to throw some questions at me, some comments. I'll throw some at you guys, and we'll just continue to chop it up and hopefully have a good time here tonight while working on our projects, whether our projects are reading, whether our projects are outlining, or working on a novel that's in progress. Maybe some of you are out there working on your poetry. I know we've had many of you who come in and are working on poetry. That's all good. It's all welcome. Go ahead and just jump into it and get this thing going. So we're coming up on about 5 minutes in. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the clock up here, our handy dandy clock that we use from online-stopwatch.com. Just nice, quick, simple, and easy. There's probably, I'm sure, many others that are out there that serve the same purpose. Some people use clocks that are on YouTube. So they just play a window, open up a window, and they just play the clock down from YouTube. So I'm thinking about in the future, I'm just letting you guys know that I'm thinking about doing some just straight up reading lives. So I'm looking forward to doing that. I just got to see where I can set it up. I need to be a little bit more comfortable as far as reading than I am with writing. Writing, I can be very, very comfortable, or I can write like this in my desk chair at my desk, and it's easy. But for reading, it's not quite as comfortable to have this set up. So I will probably be looking at doing some reading vlogs here pretty soon, so you guys can join along and share what books that you guys are reading, while I'm also sharing what books that I'm reading as well. So, all right, you'll notice the ticker going across the bottom. Just some reminders about hitting the like button, subscribing to the channel. And also, unless I took it out, there should be something. Yeah, there is still the piece in there about looking out for my year end video series that I'm working on right now. I just filmed a video yesterday that will go up on December the 31st. And that's probably as close as I'm going to come to a year in review video. It's basically, it chronicles the top book that I read each month in 2020. So it's actually pretty cool, and a lot of fun to work on that. I was able to get that done last night, get it uploaded, and everything should be all set, and it should be ready to pop up and premiere on December the 31st, as again, that'll be the final day of December, and of course of 2020 as well. So be on the lookout for that as well. I think my fiction runner-up book of the year will debut today, and so you can go ahead and check that video out once you get a chance. And then I will have also coming up, among others, will be my fiction book of the year and my nonfiction book of the year. So be on the lookout for those two videos coming up as well here on the channel. Genre that I write, mostly I write, I would say, probably in the areas of suspense, thriller, romance. But the irony about that, and contemporary fiction, but the irony about that is that one of the stories that I'm working on right now is a horror story, which is interesting because I've never really written a horror story before. So I'm actually having some fun with that. And then the other story that I'm going to be writing will be the first in my 5-part book series that I'm going to be working on most of 2021. And that is actually going to be dystopian. So, maybe something along the lines of what you would expect in like the Hunger Games or something like that. So that's the kind of stuff that I typically work on. So good question. Good questions. All right. So let me ready to get this writing sprint going here. And I got 15 minutes on the clock. I'm going to go ahead and hit start, but you guys can feel free to throw questions at me, comments, whatever motivates you about reading, writing, or more. We had a chat, I don't know, a little before Christmas about Christmas movies. So it kind of went off in an interesting direction, but a fun direction at the same time. So, all right, here we go. So I'm going to start the clock. But again, feel free to keep it going in the chat if you guys want. Okay, so first sprint is in the books, and I didn't get as many words in, so I got 195 words in during that sprint. I was kind of doing a little bit of research as well, so didn't get as much of an opportunity to get started with that. So hold on, let me switch around a couple of screens here real quick, and let me grab this website real quick that I want to bring over here, and it's going to have ads popping up, of course, but it's called characternames.com. So that'll be the website that we'll be looking at here. So just giving you a heads up about that. And let me throw this bad boy up on here. Pull myself off of here. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what goes into character sketching, and this website discusses 10 tips for choosing character names. And I talked a little bit about this yesterday about some of the things that go into naming characters. And I'm just curious. I haven't really read this whole article very much, so not totally sure what's in here, but it'll be interesting. We'll all just learn together what's in here. So again, characternames.com is the website. So let's look at these first few tips here. Tip number one is make the name age appropriate. Decide the age of your character. Deduct that age from the year your story takes place. For example, if your story takes place in 1960 and your character is 25, she was then born in 1935. If your character lives in the United States, use the US Social Security site to see the most popular names for that year. So, and that's a good point. Yeah, because if you set in the 1960s, then if your character is of a certain age, then yeah, you would have to do the math to make sure that you had an age, a name that was appropriate for the time that it was given. So that's actually a good subtle point there that maybe you might not have otherwise considered. So make the name easy to pronounce. That's one I've always talked about. Some people make difficult to pronounce names or really long names, and that can be kind of annoying sometimes, I think, for a reader. I read a book recently where the oh, you know what, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. President Snow's first name, I can't remember what it was. It just slips my mind right now. But it was like all throughout the book, and it was like kind of annoying to pronounce. Even when you weren't actually pronouncing it, you were reading it. So some of you in here, I think divided by sight, you might probably remember that the name of the character without his first name, at least. All right. Number three, consider your character's background. A family's ethnicity, history, and geographic location are tantamount in baby naming. Absolutely. No arguments there. Let's see. Also consider location of birth and generation. A fifth generation Italian child may not be named Lorenzo. If he's born in Ohio in 1980, his name could be Jason. So very, very true. Once you become, more embedded in the culture that you're living in. Here's a good one right here. Don't use similar names for two characters. That's something that does happen quite a bit, and it can become confusing, even unintentionally. It can be confusing. But give your siblings the same styles of names. So that's a good point, because typically I would imagine that's kind of goes into the thinking of for a lot of parents. Not always, but maybe typically. Consider your genre. Romance novels have historically been given more flowery, romantic names. Sci-fi characters most often have created names. See tip 8. Consider your genre before naming your characters. Hopefully you have read many works within your genre. All good writers do. Follow suit. Avoid famous name association. This is interesting. There are certain names in our culture that are easily identified with famous or infamous personalities. And then they list a few there. Unless it is part of your character's story or background, avoid using easily associative names. This also applies to fictional names. Yeah. I mean, maybe Katniss is probably more so. I could see that. That's a very distinctive name, Katniss. Let's see. I mean, Atticus and Scarlet. I mean, those are names that you might associate with a character. I'm not sure those are quite as distinctive as Katniss, but the point is well taken. All right, number 8, sci-fi names don't have to sound alien. That's an interesting point for those of you who write science fiction, or maybe even fantasy. That's probably one that is right up your alley. That they can sound a little bit different. You don't have to go like way overboard to make a point. All right, number 9, avoid using character names in dialogue. Interesting. It's a soap opera thing that has spilled over into serial television. If you have characters that have an especially close relationship, they would not keep saying each other's name. Fair point. Yeah, and that comes back to authentic dialogue. So that's a good point. Outdated terms like sis and cuz rarely crop up in natural, normal conversation, but they are all over television, especially pilots. Instead of having your character constantly call her sis, have him ask if she's heard from mom today. Or ask another character, don't I have the best sister ever? It's a good way of that's a good way of sort of showing rather than telling. Have fun choosing names is number 10. Take time to see what fits. What was your character's childhood nickname? Is that an embarrassment when his parents address him in front of his friends? Having a name like Sandy is sometimes kind of interesting, for sure, even as an adult. Did your character change his name at any point in her life? If so, why? Does your female character want to change her surname when she gets married? Why or why not? Names are such an important part of one's identity. Don't take it lightly. A name can provide great insight and backstory to a character if you do it right. So, all very interesting stuff there to look over. Let's see. Why not mention character names in dialogue? I think what the author of this piece was saying is that if you have two familiar people, that it's unlikely that they would call themselves repeatedly by first name. So she was suggesting trying to find different ways of doing it so it sounds a little bit more authentic. So I think that's what she was going for there. Let me catch up. I'm going in reverse chronological order here. So I name hard to say, but it is the easy names just spelled weird. Yeah, President Snow was definitely not very popular, not in the original trilogy and not in the prequel either. So I don't think you're going to get too many arguments there about President Snow. Definitely not a well-liked figure, to be sure. So anyway, I thought that was a cool article, some tips about character names. And so those are some good tips there for sure. And, and looking at it and some good fundamental points about keeping your dialogue authentic when talking about character names. And so as what Divided by Sight was bringing up there, and easy to pronounce names are definitely important. It's like when you talk about, in journalism, you're writing a story and you write it to like a fifth grade level, to not because you think that your readers are too stupid to pick it up, but you just want them to be able to flow smoothly and not have to stop to look up a word or to try to figure out how to pronounce something. Now, if you're right in journalism, if you're writing a name, you're just writing a name. And if they have a hard time pronouncing it, then they just have a hard time pronouncing it. But in general, you want to make it as easy as possible to be able to continue to read smoothly without stumbling over things or without having to clear certain hurdles, certain unnecessary hurdles. Divided by Sight says, always coming through with these great resources. Thank you. You're welcome. That was a good one. I found that one, and that was one that I was really excited to discuss a little bit today. Between the second and third 15-minute sprints, I'm going to talk about character sketching and some of the things that you should consider when developing your characters. So stay tuned for that one once we get through this next 15-minute sprint. Probably going to go till, I don't know, maybe close to 10:30-ish. So probably another 40 minutes or so we'll be at it, give or take 10 minutes. So just wanted to put that out there. So let me get this thing going here. We come up on about 35, 36 minutes, 35 and a half minutes. We'll split the difference here tonight. I want to thank everybody for that's stopped in here for joining and just hopefully just having a good time. It's always, for me, it's just an opportunity here to just kind of get on here and just work on developing my comfort level and skill with doing live video and also doing something that I would be doing anyway, which is writing. So definitely excited about doing that as well. And if people come through, then that's just that's like just a huge bonus. So that's a good thing as well. So all right, let me go ahead and get the clock back up here on the screen. And there it is. So we're going to go for 15 minutes. Feel free to jump in and ask any questions in the chat if you so desire. But we'll just keep that going from here. I'll throw some things, some comments in here as well along the way. And we'll just do it like that. Okay, so 242 words written for me during that little 15-minute writing sprint. And now I'm going to get to what I was discussing before. Let me get this off the screen here real quick. And I want to talk about character sketching. And let me go ahead and grab that right now. So let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. Okay. That's a little bit bigger. All right. So I'm going to go over this character sketch template right here. Here's the website if you guys want to follow along here as we get going. Um, okay. Let me pull that off of there. Share screen. And you guys will see here. This is from the Columbia Fiction Foundry at columbia.edu. So it's like a resource here for fiction writing, which is awesome. A little bit of an older article here, 2014, but I'm guessing the fundamentals of it probably never changed, kind of like math. It is what it is. So let me scroll down here a little bit. So character sketch template, best-selling author, Columbia MFA, so master's degree, and Fiction Foundry guest Janine Kwok was kind enough to share her character sketch with me, me being the author, Ralph White. I modified it somewhat and set it to a word table, and here's the results. Okay, so name of character, and you can see here we get into what the role of the character is in the story. So if they're a main character, secondary character, so on and so forth. And then you get into some of the basics here that you want to fill in right here in this area. That being age, height, weight, hair, skin, physique. And these are important. They may not seem like it, but they are important because you start getting into writing and then all of a sudden, your character's eyes were blue in chapter 3, and then you get to chapter 25 and they're brown all of a sudden. So you definitely want to be consistent with that. And part of that is character sketching. So definitely very important there. Clothing, I think in terms of consistency, the types of clothes that your character would typically wear, that can be very important. If they have some unique grooming habits, good or bad, that can certainly be important. Distinguishing features or habits, mannerisms. So I'm not sure if they're talking about it here, but maybe tattoos, maybe certain sayings that they have, certain physical movements that are typical associated with this character, fragrance. Voice type can be one that's fun to describe sometimes when you are doing dialogue, especially if it's a dialogue heavy story. All right, let's see. What other people notice about him or her first, second. That's a good one. That's a good point, to see your character through the eyes of another character. So things here: more background, ethnicity, education, religion, personal experience, occupation, work experience, sexuality, residence. These are all, varying levels of importance. Again, some of it probably depends on the story and on the character, how deep you want to get into that. And then also, you don't want to beat your reader over the head with it. You definitely want to make sure that you weave it in an appropriate way. All right, let's see. Character traits: strongest trait, weakest trait, philosophy, politics, interest, vital secret. See, significant event that molded the character's personality. And, some of that could be part of the actual story. So it may be important there, especially if you use the 3-act format. It might be important to establish a significant event that shaped the character's personality, even if it's a temporary shaping of the character's personality, especially if it's vital to the story. So what else they got here? Is the reader likely to have stereotypical expectations about this character? How does this character defy the stereotype? How does she conform to the stereotype? So you got relationships, best friend, other friends, family, enemies. That's important too, because sometimes if you start off your story and your character has one sister, and then you get three quarters of the way through the story, and then a mysterious half brother pops up. That's not a part of the story, but just because you were sloppy and you just didn't, or you made a change but you forgot to fix it earlier. So those are definitely things that you want to think about. Essence of the character, core needs, ambition in life. What character does alone? Will reader like or dislike the character, and why? So that's definitely important. Character arc. Does the character change in the story? So is there an evolution to the character? Do they start out um, facing adversity that makes them weak, then strong, strong, then weak? How do they evolve over the course of the story? Epiphany. How does the character grow? What does the character learn? Motivations, ambitions. Wow, this is really in depth. What does the character want? Abstract, concrete. Does character have intermediate goals? Conflicts. What could prevent the character from achieving her objectives? Internal conflicts, external conflicts. That's actually really important. That's a good point, because those are some of the obstacles that your character has to undergo to either become stronger or become weaker and then become stronger. Summary. If the story were principally about this character, what would be that storyline? Describe the character's story in 3 acts, beginning, middle, and end. Freestyle description of the character. In the character's own words, something the character says, which is illustrative of her, his self perception. So, yeah, this is a really in depth character sketch template that could definitely be used. Um, again, a lot of it is just to make sure that you have a level of consistency with your character. So they just certain characteristics that are fundamental of the character don't change just for no reason. So anyway, I put the link in the chat. So if you want to refer to that at some point, you are certainly free to do that. So yeah, again, that's kind of fundamentally what I typically end up doing. Maybe not quite to that depth of specificity, but to each their own. That's certainly a good character sketch template, and I could see myself using something like that, especially if it was in a Microsoft Word table, like the person who wrote this put it in. So that is something where you could just fill in the blanks, and that's where software programs like Scrivener have ways that you can do character sketches in there. I have Scrivener, I just haven't necessarily used it. So, but it's certainly a valuable tool. Okay, I'm gonna go with another 15-minute writing sprint because I'm at a pretty good spot here, and I want to keep this thing going here. So I'm gonna go with another 15-minute writing sprint. Let me get the clock set here. Clear. Okay. So the clock is on, and I'm going to go ahead and get the party started. Here we go. Okay, so that last sprint is in the books. Let me go ahead and tally up real quick, as I forgot to do that because I was writing some comments here. Let's see. All right, I ended up. So I ended up with 237 words during that sprint. That was pretty good for me. I was, also writing some comments in the comment section and just doing a little bit of research as well, as I tend to do from time to time to make sure everything is just on point. So a little bit of everything going on during that last writing sprint as we're coming up on 1 minute, 1 hour and 20 minutes into the broadcast. We're at the bottom of the hour. So I'm going to go ahead and get ready to close it out for the night. And thanks to those of you who dropped in, and special thanks to those of you who took some time to comment. It's much appreciated. Love hearing from you guys and chatting with you guys about different subjects. And hopefully you guys found something useful in at least the character sketch template that we went over, as well as how to name a character, which we went over earlier, or at least some fundamentals for how to name a character. So hopefully there was some positive, productive content that was there for you all to use in your writing. And hopefully we can all continue to get better together at the same time. So again, thanks to everybody. And we'll see. I might end up being on at some points during the week. I have the week off of work, though it's not really a true week off of work because I do have to do a few little things, especially early in the week. So it'll be a little bit different, but yet at the same time, hopefully I'll be able to get on here live at some point during the week, which would be a little bit different for me. So be on the lookout potentially for that. Also, as I mentioned earlier, consider checking out the year-end review type videos that I did with my BookTube Awards that are posting to the channel here that you guys are on. I think I had my nonfiction runner-up book of the year posted today, and looking forward to hopefully you guys will enjoy the picks that I make for my nonfiction book of the year and for my fiction book of the year. Those are going to be some interesting choices. I'm sure there'll be some disagreement. It'd probably be a lot of agreement as well. And then also there will be on December the 31st, there will be sort of a year in review video for me. It'll chronicle the best books that I felt like I read each month of the calendar year 2020. So be on the lookout for that. And then at some point, I got to start working on my TBR for January 2021 and solidify my reading goals for January through December of 2021. So lots to do, but lots of fun. So it's just fun being here and engaging people and having an opportunity to just do what I would normally do and then being able to do it with you guys. So you're welcome, Divided by Sight. Thank you for joining. Always a pleasure having you and the others here in the chat with me. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close it out. Everybody have a good rest of your Sunday night, and hopefully you guys will get your week off to a great start.